Hello, and welcome to another episode of Practical Money Magic with me, your host, Audrey Heesch, your friendly money lady. Today, I want to talk about just what it means to be a business owner and how to really step into that. Um, I had a beautiful meeting with an incredible new entrepreneur. Not new, I don't want to say that. She's been running her own business and starting a new venture with two partners because we all know how difficult entrepreneurship is. And when you're trying to manage it yourself, you hear my cat wailing in the background. He feels it too. It's challenging to do it by yourself. And that's what it feels like. It's just like you're crying out for help and you feel like there's no help available to you. And you don't know all the things. And so when you get in a partnership with other people, it can make it easier. It can also make it more challenging. So there is that double-edged sword, but she has a beautiful partnership with two other incredible humans, and they're really doing an amazing job. And it's sometimes you, even if you're slaying it, your customers love you, you have raving reviews, you are getting in the sales, and you are just knocking it out one after another. Something comes up and you tackle it and you move on to the next. And in the beginning, genuinely, that's just what you do. Like, and because those things keep happening, it makes entrepreneurs feel like they don't know what they're doing and they aren't a real business owner. And that's just not the case. If you didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial home or have a degree in business or anything of that sort, you really are starting from scratch, and give yourself grace. Like, our laws are convoluted, complicated, and just not logical. And they're changing all the time, and they're generally changing not in small business's best interest. And so it's a maze. So grant yourself grace and don't expect yourself to be able to just know all the things and tackle all the things right in the beginning. And that's what will define your success. Because that's not true. And you're giving away your power. You're basically saying that the government is what will define your worth in the business world. And that's just not true. You're making it, you're doing it, and the government is making it complicated on you. And while I don't believe that I personally believe taxes are an essential part of our system, and that's what pays for our roads and our schools and our libraries, essential things that I fundamentally support. And that's what taxes are for, is to make sure that as a collective society, we are cared for. And that does require paperwork and reporting. And that is just the reality of it. And that's okay. And there are those out there making it way more complicated so that it only benefits a few, which is frustrating. Yes, that's why you handle everything that needs to be handled and then advocate for things to be changed. That is, while I'll be the first to raise my hand, I advocate endlessly on lots of things because I believe that we are in a point in our society where we're coming to that head of what is and isn't acceptable, and our systems have been built to be unacceptable for the majority. I fundamentally believe that. And the more we talk about our experiences and our understanding, we are opening up the ability to change. Right now, we are at a pinnacle point of being able to change things. Hopefully, that's my hope. That is what I'm here to push out into the world, because we need change. We need change fundamentally and epically and from a human base level, and not just for profit and not just for greed. And I think that's where a lot of heart-centered, beautiful entrepreneurs get caught up, is thinking that the system is what defines them. the system that is currently built and only benefits a few is what's going to define them. And they can only be defined once they get to that spot of full understanding, wealth, whatever your level of needing acceptance from the government to validate your position, or any that I'm mumbling that up, but I just want to say that you are bringing worth to the world. It's when you get a letter and it feels like that letter is just going to break you or ruin you, or that you're doing it wrong, or that you're not a good business owner, or you're not a business owner at all until you get all these things handled. That's not the case, my friend. That's why the government does send you an initial letter. And while they can feel very overwhelming and scary, it's meant to be scary so that you take action. Because if they were just like, hey, can you please do this? It doesn't work as well, unfortunately, because people then avoid it even more than if it's scary, then you actually take action. So that's kind of the balance of why they have to make all those letters scary so that you're more likely to take action on it. Um, but if you get one of those letters, just handle it. Handle it within 2 weeks. Give yourself 2 weeks, have the emotions, tackle your to-do list, and make sure you're weaving in that as a priority towards the top wherever you're at in your to-do list, because as entrepreneurs we know there's a million things to do and that list is never ending, and that's okay. And it does feel like just like another thing to add in, and it is, and most of the time it's frustrating and pointless and you're like, why do I have to do this? Why? And I get it. I'm not diminishing that it sucks and stupid, but not always. Some of it is very, I don't want to put that out there. Some of it is very important. And that's why the government initially sends you a letter to be like, to give you awareness. Very rarely is it like a very final end of the road. This is what you have to deal with, the end. It's more, here's all of your, we found out you're not doing this thing. Please do this thing. Otherwise, this is your consequences. And on top of that, if they do apply initial penalty or fee onto what you didn't know and you hadn't been or if you hadn't been tackling it yet and they caught up with you, that's okay. Communicate with them. Ask for a potential abatement. That's the verbiage that's best for you to use. Be like, okay, what is the abatement process for this because of my situation of XYZ? Just list out, be honest, be like, I didn't know this was a thing. Like, what can we do to get rid of this? And generally speaking, the only government agency that I've ever had a real struggle with is the unemployment department in multiple states. That is the only state department that is painful to work with. All the other ones, they're, in my experience, and I'm not saying it all, and I'm not saying that every human I've talked to at all the government agencies were helpful. I'm saying that the majority of the time, it's more helpful than not. And if they aren't helpful, try again. They're a bajillion workers there. Try again. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they do hate their job and they're just taking it out on you. I don't know. You don't know. You still need to get it done, and paying that possibly thousands of dollars in unjust penalties and fees is worth the couple extra, maybe 20, 30, maybe an hour, depending on the wait time, to tackle that. So ask for, if you do get a penalty or fee, ask for an abatement, or what is the abatement process? And usually they're like, hey, you write a letter or you fill out this form and explain why you think you don't deserve this penalty. You just fill it out and be honest about your situation. Hey, I was I've legitimately had to write this, so this is why I'm sharing it. Hey, I was working with an accountant who didn't file these forms despite here are my evidence of the emails I sent, the documentations I've sent, the dates, the times, here's the case. I've since switched. I've now implemented multi-tiered checks and balances to make sure that everything in my account is taken care of at all times. I do recognize, and here's the part, also be very well and understand that it doesn't matter if you released control to a third party. Ultimately, as the business owner, it's your responsibility. So do know that, so that you can add that in. Be very well aware that it is your responsibility, because it is. And the government agency doesn't owe you a release of those penalties and fees. It's the human thing to do 9 times out of 10, but they don't owe that to you because it was your responsibility to handle it and handle it timely. And so when you add that in, it shows and puts on paper that you are understanding of your responsibility and you've taken steps to change things. I think that's very important. And that's where you're empowering yourself twofold. You're acknowledging what's going on and you're able to show your best next steps forward. And when we're able to take accountability, all around accountability. We need more accountability in our systems, in our society. There was, I don't know about y'all, but all growing up, it's like, don't admit fault, never talk about what you did wrong. Any mistakes, flip it, spin it, and don't ignore, and like in finances in particular, and there's obviously situations where you don't want to just dwell on what you did wrong or the mistakes you made or any of that. But it is important to acknowledge and take responsibility of those actions and understand the consequences and how it all linked together, because that's when you're able to take that next step forward in an empowering way and also just an overall responsible way. Never admitting fault is not, it's just not a human thing to do. And like, we need to be more human. We're human beings, and somehow we got to a place where profit and corporations and entities are hold more power than the human experience. And there is a huge disconnect there. And we're feeling it. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling it. And we need to get more on the human scale. Yes, we're in this to make money and be profitable and make our impact to the world and bring our either services or products or gifts out into the world. And that is beautiful. And you deserve to be paid adequately for those things, which means a profit. I'm all for that. Get that profit. Just don't get it at the expense of other humans. So, as usual, I think we went down a weird rabbit hole. So the main part of this is, don't give your power over to the government for whether or not you're a business owner, because you are. Are you taking money? Are you providing services or products? You're a business owner, my friend, and you should rock that and own that and feel where you're at, because you are making it, you are doing it, you are putting in the work, you are putting in that one step in front of the other, you're putting in your blood, your sweat, your tears, your probably anxiety and stress and everything in between. And so giving your power away to a piece of paper that might come in, or the fear of the other shoe dropping of another piece of paper, I get it. I don't want to diminish it. I've been with clients where the stack of paperwork is like the mail coming in of shit letters is a mile high. That is very stressful and very heavy. And when you take the time to understand what those letters are saying and take the action for what's needed in that moment for you and your business and that letter, that's when you're able to take that next step forward. Like, that's when you are doing it. You are a business owner and you own it. Because when you plant that seed of success, watch yourself bloom, baby. Thanks, guys. And I hope you have, I think that's a good spot to end. So I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your week. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, guys.